Hi and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits, and today is Wednesday, June 24th, 2020. This is episode 358. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. One more episode. And if you're new, I hope you enjoyed today's episode and you'll come back for future ones. So it's been about 2 weeks. Things are still, rolling along. We are getting ready to open up to phase 4 here in Illinois on Friday. So that means things like zoos and sit-down restaurants and different things are able to open up at about 50% capacity with restrictions, of course. But yeah, other than that, the weather is heating up. It's been cooling down a little bit the last 2 days, but it's still rather warm. I just had to run down to the studio to pick up stuff for recording, and I was like, but such is life. The good news is, in the past 2 weeks, we have had some work done in the studio. It's not completed yet, but we had some ductwork reconnected and some vents, a lot of vents put in to better heat and cool the studio. So when we purchased the building, the previous owner, there's essentially 3 sections of the studio. There's the front portion, which was where she had, the studio used to be a pet groomers. And so the front section was where she had her, things for sale, but it wasn't really used. And then there's the middle section, which is where they actually groom the dogs. And in the back section where we actually dye the yarn now is where they would wash and dry the dogs. So now the front section is used for housing inventory and where our computer is and where our, community table is and packing and all that. The middle section is where we house the undyed yarn and where Amanda works and reskeins yarn all day. And then in the back is where we dye yarn. And it gets very hot because we are dyeing boiling water all day, and especially in the summer. So the previous owner had disconnected the ductwork on the front half of the building, thinking she wanted to save money because there was nobody really up front with her product. Her staff and the dogs were in the back. While that seems smart, in my mind, and what we've been told, that actually makes your system run more because it's still trying to cool and heat the entire area with less vents. So, and she didn't just shut the vents, she completely disconnected and stuffed insulation and just jankified all of our ductwork down in the basement. So we had people come in and they reconfigured the ductwork. We added 4 vents up front and on top of 2 that were already there. So they're all connected. So there's 6 vents now blowing air up front. And we added one in our very, 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 very small bathroom. It is less than the size of a closet. It is enough to fit a toilet and not even a full sink. But as you can imagine, it is back in the dye studio area. And when it is really warm back there and you shut the door, it gets really hot. So it has been nice to have a vent in there. The other nice thing that they're coming in and doing is we're going to install a smart thermostat. So we bought a Nest. They got to come back and hook that up. They also are going to take, at some point the previous owner put in a new air conditioning system, which the air conditioner is on the ground, but the previous one was on the roof and it's just up there, and we think it's undue weight and issues on the roof. So we are having them take that down. They're also going to clean our air conditioner. And last but not least, there is an actual fan vent out the back wall that was used for drying the dogs and venting that room, which we do use. But there's something called louvers, which is like a grate that goes over it so things can't fly in. That was broken when we moved in, and we've just jankified. I think in the wintertime we duct taped a piece of cardboard and shoved it in there and then kind of duct taped it over. And we have a towel on the inside that we thumbtack so that insects and things can't get in, but they are actually ordering the parts to replace the louvers and so that it stays shut when it's not, but when it's blowing out air, it'll open up. So that's been fun, dealing with that. But all the nasty, dirty work is done. They've cut all the holes in the floor. They put in all the grates, did all that. So we're working with air conditioning, so that's good. We've been 2 summers without it. And what's going to be really nice, hopefully, fingers crossed, in the wintertime, there's so much heat and humidity in the building that with the cold against the front glass of the studio, it's a storefront, we get tons of condensation running down the windows to the point that you can't see out. And part of that was because the front half of the building was not heated. So there was no air moving, no heat up there to help regulate that. So we're hoping that that will take care of that issue this winter as well. Other than that, we've just been working steadily, dyeing yarn, shipping orders, taking and shipping wholesale orders, getting trunk shows ready. And yeah, just kind of taking it one day at a time, doing a little housework. Andy's been working on getting the backyard growing because we had that big tree taken down out of our backyard last year. And so we're trying to get grass growing in certain spots, and he's growing tomatoes and peppers out back, which is a big deal for him. He loves BLTs. I despise tomatoes, which is funny because I'll eat ketchup. I'll even eat pico de gallo. I'll eat salsa. It's not my favorite thing, but I will. But I hate tomatoes and things, and I hate tomatoes on sandwiches. But he loves them, so, and we've just done a little bit of flowers, like 2 baskets up on the front porch and a pot of flowers. And so he works on watering those every night and whatnot. So anyway, that's been our 2 weeks. Nothing really important. Auntie went to the doctor yesterday for a checkup. Things are looking good. So yeah, so let's get into what's been going on in the world of crafting. So I have something taking a bow this episode. I have a finished object, and that would be my idea of North Cowl by Tanis Gray. I used some Stitch Knotty Heartbreaker, which is her worsted weight, in the Pumpkin Patch and Chai colorways, using a size 5 and 7 US, which is the 3.75 and 4.5 millimeter needle. Now this is color work. I hadn't done color work since my For Fox Sake sweater, but here it is. So I think I did all right. I think my color work blocked out pretty nicely. I'll even show you my insides there. And I did pick up and drop for all of my colors, unless there's these rows in between that are 1 stitch and 1 stitch. That's the only row I put my yarn in 2 different hands. Other than that, I was just more comfortable. I did not trap my stitches. There were some longer floats of about 11 stitches, I think was the longest, and I was like, And I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this. I was thinking about actually doing a auction on Ravelry for charity. And I might do that with some of my knitwear. I'm not sure. And basically my thought would be I would start off the auction at the cost of the yarn, and then people would be able to bid by replying to the previous person in increments of $1, and that I would choose a charity, and the person who wins would directly donate to that charity. Once they email me a copy of the receipt, I would then mail this to them. So, but it is a long cowl, which seems to be my go-to these days, but it's nice you can pull it up. But yeah, I do like that it's not too snug, but it still kind of hugs right here. So even if you wanted to, you know, put it up on a really cold day, you can, or you can just, you know, wear it like that. So that's the idea of North Cowl. I really enjoyed working with Stitch Knotty's yarn. Her dyeing is beautiful. She's a relatively new dyer out of Texas. She used to live in the Midwest and actually was one of our first sample knitters, Cindy. But definitely check her out on Etsy, but you can also check her out on Instagram. So there you go. There's the other side. Really pretty. So that was a relatively quick knit, not too stressful at all. that's all that I have finished. So let's move into what's performing. First up for me is my So Basic sweater by Maxim Sear. I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Soliloquy, which is our jumbo skeins of 100% Superwash Blueface Leicester wool. Great for sweaters and garments. I'm using the Don't Fear the Reaper colorway, and it's being knit on a size 3 and 4 US, which is a 3.25 and 3.5 millimeter needle. I have about 6 more decrease repeats. That's about 24 rows on the first sleeve till the decreases are done. And I'm using 2 of our yarn pouches that are sewn by Pete Moss Novelties. She does not sell online, but she does retail to us. This was the ones where I first got to see these. These were a custom, or not custom, but these were a fabric that were donated to the goodie bags for the retreat last year. And this is a new upgraded size. These are the larger size, so they fit full skeins of yarn, 100 grams, a little bit better. So it's not so snug to get in there. And you just put your ball in there, snap it shut, and they keep from the balls disintegrating and getting tangled and things like that. And they're really easy. Since I am doing helical knitting, I am still, rotating the balls to make sure that they're going the same way. And here is, there's the back, the first sleeve. So I've tried it on, and last time it was about a 3/4 length. I have short arms, and to do the size chest that I need, I usually have to decrease the body size by several inches. And usually by the time that I finish decreasing a sleeve, I usually have to go on to the ribbing. Now, this pattern calls for 3 inches of ribbing on the cuff, which I think is a little excessive. This is about 2 inches at the bottom, and that's about all I'll do. So I will knit the sleeve. I'll check when I'm done with decreases and see where I'm at. But I will knit it then until it's about 2 inches from where I want it, which is usually like right here is where I like my sleeves to go. Just a little past the cuff, or your wrist, and then I will go do that. So there's the So Basic. I am not going to put the pocket on it. The pattern does give you a template for putting a pocket that you can cut out of real or faux leather. There was an Etsy seller out of Canada who was selling pockets. I just don't think it's me personally, and I don't want to have weight on one side pulling down on the knitwear. So that's that. That's going right along. Next up is my banana pudding socks. I am using Hiwassee Creek Dye Works, who is unfortunately no longer dyeing, her Sassafras sock in the banana pudding colorway, and I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts mini skein in black walnut for cuffs, heels, and toes. In fact, I need to cut this, but this is my leftovers. I finished the body or the foot of the second sock, and this is what I'm going to work on this evening. I need to add the toe and the heel, and my 2 socks will be done. This is the first sock with heel. So there we are. It's blowing out. There's truer to color. And these are going to be for me. I'm super excited. So those are almost done. That's being knit on a size 1 US 2.25 millimeter needle. And then I did cast on something new since I finished the idea of North Cowl. I used a random number generator on my stash to pick my next project. For those of you who are new, every ball of yarn in my stash is on Ravelry, and every ball of yarn has a project attached to it, unless it is going to be a simple pair of socks. And so I use a random number generator to pick what yarn I'm going to knit next, and I like that method. I don't have to go into analysis paralysis. I bought or picked the yarn at some point because I wanted it and I wanted to knit with it, and I found a project that will work for it, and so I'm going to make it. So my next project is the Peeping Cowl by Hokey Locatelli, and it's another long cowl, but this one is in fingering weight. And I do have a picture of that to show you. So there's the cover image. You really can't see much. But she says here, this was my chance for experimenting with stripes, color, and different stitch patterns. There was no other excuse for this cowl design than wanting to have fun while knitting. And so she just basically wanted to play with color and texture. And so here it is. What's really great about this cowl is that it only uses 4 different colors, but it uses only half skeins of fingering weight. So if you have, some half skeins lying around from past projects, or, some indie dyers like ourselves, we sell our intermission skeins, which are only 50 grams. But what I had paired with this was 4 years worth of goodie bag yarn from the Knitting Pipeline retreats that were held in Washington, Illinois by Paula of Knitting Pipeline. She has unfortunately foregone starting this year. She is no longer doing those retreats, but every year in the goodie bag, we got some Quince & Company because they were a sponsor of her podcast. And I got, what's the base? Finch, which is 100% American wool fingering weight. And we got 2 50-gram skeins. So I have 4 colors that worked together for this cowl. And I actually have another 4 in this bin over here, but I may actually gift those, or I may find a different project for them, but I may actually gift them to somebody who wants to knit this after me. So I'm using the colors Bird's Egg, Iceland, Fox, and my last color is Smoke. So I thought these went together very well, and I'm excited to knit this. It is not the softest wool. It is not a merino. It just says American wool, but it has really good stitch definition. You are knitting this on a tighter gauge than, say, a shawl. This is knit on a 2.5 US, which is a 3mm needle. Nothing really interesting going on. It starts off with some ribbing, and then you do some stockinette with eyelets with a little bit of garter, and then I'll start striping here in a little while. But that's where I am at. So that is what's on my needles right now. Let's talk about what's on my hooks. So I am crocheting. First off, I'm doing my first triangle scarf by Lindsay Dale, and I'm using some more of my Lion Brand mandala stash. This time I'm using Centaur is the colorway, and I am more than halfway done, I would guess. Here's what's left of the cake. These are 150 gram skeins of about a DK weight. They're 100% acrylic, and you get about 590 yards. This is my 5th one I think I've done. So here's where I'm hooking right now. I do have my previous ones up for sale on the website, leadingmenfiberarts.com, under handmade. They make a great gift, purchase if you're stuck on time and want to give something handmade. So that's going, and that's being hooked up on a size H or 8mm hook. All right, my granny square blanket is almost done. All the squares have been done for several days. It is 300 squares big, 15 squares wide by 20 squares tall, and I have finished edging the whole thing. Now I am working on adding a row of granny squares or granny clusters for the edging, but I'm hoping to actually have enough yarn to get 2 rows out to make the border seem a little more substantial. I don't think I can actually show it to you in this format very well, so I decided not to show it to you today. But next episode, what I will do is I will have it freshly washed. I'm going to, fingers crossed, put it into the washer under hand wash. We have something even more delicate than delicate. on our washer, and then I'm gonna lay it out to dry. And it's gonna live on our spare bedroom, or on our spare bed in the bedroom where I used to record. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do a little video for next episode to insert that walks you through the whole blanket and shows you how it fits on the bed, and which is a full queen size bed, and what the edging looks like, and kind of give you a feel of what the whole blanket looks like. So plus, I also want to weigh it and get a good guesstimate on how many yards of yarn is in that puppy. It's a lot. It's heavy in my lap. All right, in rehearsal, what am I going to be casting on soon? I did go through my stash, and since my banana pudding socks are almost done, that means by the time we record again, I will have a new pair of self-striping socks on the needles. And how I'm working through my self-striping stash, I say that 10 times fast, is you might hear barking in a minute. Andy is coming home. He walks to work a lot in the summer, and he just walked past the picture window in front and just like smiled at me talking to myself. But anyway, so I go through my stash through starting with the oldest, and I'm working my way through oldest self-striping stash. And what it picked for me, what was next, is some Knit Picks Felici in the Building Blocks colorway. He's home, told you. They actually kept the barking to a minimum. So these will be probably for Andy, and I will get those on the needles soon. And I went through some of my scrap fingering weight for cuffs, heels, and toes, and he loves orange, and so I'm going to pull the orange. While it's not exactly the same, I'm going to put some orange in for the cuffs, heels, and toes on these. So that's what's going on the needles soonly. Say hi to your peeps, Andy.
What up, peeps?
Whether you heard that or not, I don't know. Trust me, don't ask for him to be on the podcast. Everybody does. He's not gonna do it. He won't do it for me. He won't do it for you. He's camera shy. All right, so let's move on to my spinning. I have some finished spinning to show you. I finished up some Yarn Geek fibers, Mix BFL in the triplicate colorway, and I got 264 yards of a 2-ply DK weight. It's got beautiful shades of green with little pops of like aqua blue and brown. And the brown is that mixed BFL or blue face Leicester wool. And yeah, it was a pleasure to spin. I love Sarah's fiber. I always seem to pick up some every year at different events. So this will be up on the website soonly. I just waited posting it. It's been done for a while until I could show it to you on the podcast. So then I, again, used a random number generator on my fiber stash, and it picked up for me some fiber that I actually got at, well, that's Kismet. I'm wearing the shirt. The Iowa Sheep and Wool Festival last year in 2019. This is the 2018 shirt. Unfortunately, that last year was the last year of the Iowa Sheep and Wool. Even before COVID hit, they had announced the cancellation of the festival due to lack of organizers and support and things like that. It just kind of wasn't in the cards. But what I picked up last year was from a somewhat local farm in Dyer, Prairie Shepherds. This is their merino top in the early morning colorway. This is the second 4 ounces. It was an 8-ounce braid of fiber, so I'm gonna do a 2-ply fractal again. We'll see what the yardage looks like. So what I did is this was the whole braid, and I just folded it in half and broke it. Just got a little bit in my mouth. And then for the first 4 ounces, I split it down the center. And then what I'm gonna do for this is I will split, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might split it like into thirds and then split it down the center. I don't know. Or I might split this into 6, you know, kind of do half and then do, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what, I'm almost done with the first 2 ounces, and I have another 2 ounces to do on this first bobbin before I even get to those. So it's gonna be a little bit, it'll take me a little longer than my last spins have been. All right, in the scene shop, what is going on in terms of other crafting? My cross stitch, I am working on a Heaven and Earth Designs called One for Sorrow, artwork by Stephanie Pugh Moon Law, and it will eventually look like this in many years. And I'm still working on page 3. And so there we are. And that's what it will look like. I'm doing this 2/1 half stitch on 25 count, easy count fabric. This was bought as a material pack from the Heaven and Earth Designs website when they had a really good deal on it, and I snagged it with a gift card. Now the material packs have gotten very, very popular, and they were releasing like a certain amount of slots that were selling out in minutes. But I think starting at the end of next month or sometime in next month, they are going to open up sales of material packs, and you're just going to have to wait as long as it takes for them to make them. It takes a while because they have so many different designs, and they have to, again, get the fabric ready for the size of your design, and then they kit up. I have 7 cards of flosses, and they floss it. You know, they have to laminate, do your flosses, and then they floss up as much as you need based on, so I said I was doing 2/1 full cross stitch, so there's probably way more floss than I need, but I ended up going with only half stitches because it's less time and I liked the look better. But you know, they give you the amount of floss that you need based on the kit, so that's really what sold me. So that's what I'm working on there. All right, let's move on. In the spotlight, what am I watching and reading? I've got everything to talk about today. So we finished up season 4 of Schitt's Creek. We are in season 5. Love that show. I love that show. I'm so sad that it's coming to an end. That after, you know, season 6 is out, and then, excuse me, that's it. But do love that show. We finished watching season 1 of Avenue 5, which came out through HBO. It is a half-hour comedy about a spaceship cruise liner, essentially, and how it just goes abysmally wrong. It was funny. Andy wanted to watch it. I sat through it with him, and we got through season 1. We did watch several movies. We watched Child's Play, which was my pick. That is the remake of Chucky. It was okay. I'd give it about 3 stars. Andy picked The Good Liar, which stars Helen Mirren, Ian McKellen, and Russell Tovey. I only knew of the movie because I follow Russell Tovey on Instagram, and Andy had heard about it. I thought it was okay, but it was like a slow burn. It's based off of a book, and essentially these 2 older people meet and get into this like friendship / relationship, and the male part of the relationship is pretty much a con man, and he is trying to con her out of her life savings, but there's of course twists and turns, and so I'll leave it at that. But you know, it was a suspense movie. It was pretty good. I'll give it again about 3 stars. We did watch Knives Out this weekend, which is kind of a suspense thriller, crime whodunit, game of Clue. It came out last year with around Thanksgiving. It's got Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh my gosh, who's the guy who plays Captain America? Chris something? Nah, I can't remember. Anyway, it's got a bunch of names in it that you'd know. Toni Collette's in it. But it was really good. So you think, I love a good mystery thriller, you know, whodunit, gumshoe detective type thing. And this had, you know, a lot of plays on that while still being funny. And so I would give it about 4 stars on that. We enjoyed it. And then I finished 2 books, one of which I'm going to be giving away. So I actually started several weeks ago physically reading a book, which I haven't done in years. I have a whole bookcase full of books upstairs back from when I used to be in book clubs and book swaps and when Borders was open. I was never a fan of Barnes & Noble, but I loved all the deals at Borders, and I can go there at any time and just pop in and find books. But one of the books I picked off my shelf weeks ago was a Dean Koons book. I have several of them. I'm not the biggest fan of Dean Koons, but I've read several of his books. I will still read them. He's just always brings in the paranormal in a different way than I'm used to. But this is By the Light of the Moon by Dean Koons. And this was published in... Maybe I can tell you. Copyright 2002. So I did read this, and I'm going to give you the synopsis. I'm going to give you the synopsis by reading the back of the book, not on Goodreads. Ha! So it says, on the road on a hot Arizona night, Dylan O'Connor is overpowered by a stranger who injects him with an unknown substance. All he's told is that the carrier, not of a disease, but of the something wondrous that will transform his life in remarkable ways, if it doesn't kill him in the next 24 hours. Now Dylan, his autistic brother Shep, and another carrier, a young woman, are swept into a desperate search for the shattering truth of what they are and what they might become. But first they must elude those sent to destroy them. Their only chance to survive is to discover the meaning of the messages that Shep, with precious time running out, begins to repeat about a man who does his work by the light of the moon. So basically it's about this journey of these 3 individuals trying to escape from this team who is basically sent to clean up the mess of this stranger who injects them with a mysterious serum that could give them a better life in terms of powers and things that they can do, or it can kill them in the next 24 hours. They don't really know. So they're trying to escape, but also figure out these powers that they're getting and whether it's for the good or the bad, and trying to interpret the messages of their his autistic brother. So I gave it, I think I gave it 3 stars. It was all right. I enjoyed it. I got through it. And I'm going to pass this up for anybody who wants to read this. All you have to do is go into this episode's thread on Ravelry and leave a comment. Any comment will do. You could say, I like Dean Koons, I'm interested in reading that book, whatever, and I will use a random number generator to pick a winner to win this book next time we record. So this giveaway for the book is going to be on Ravelry. In this episode 358, oh my goodness, my eyes are bad. Episode 358 thread on Ravelry. I then finished listening to a book in only a matter of days called Hunted by Darcy Coates. She has a crap ton of books out, I guess, and I think she's a really good author. I gave this book 4 stars. There are some interesting things in the way it's written due to, it seems like she is not from North America, based on writing, like using things like mobile, going on holiday, just the wording. It never really tells you where this story takes place. I mean, it gives you where it takes place, but not geographically where. So I'm going to read you the synopsis of this. 22-year-old Eileen goes missing while hiking in the remote Ashlow Forest. 5 days later, her camera is discovered washed down river, containing bizarre photos taken after her disappearance. Chris wants to believe that Eileen is still alive. When the police search is abandoned, he and 4 of his friends create their own search party to scour the mountain range. As they stray further from the hiking trails and the unsettling discoveries mount, they begin to believe they're not alone in the forest, and that Eileen's disappearance wasn't an accident. By that point, it's too late to escape. So it's got aspects of potential paranormal, paranoia. It's got survivalist tendencies in it with hiking. They range it under the genres of horror, thriller, mystery, fiction, and thriller, mystery, thriller. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. I will definitely be listening to more of her via Audible. So check that out. All right, moving right along. Stash enhancement. I've got nothing. I've been good. I've been tempted, but I've been good. So let's move into this episode's giveaway. We are going to be giving away a skein of Cascade Yarns 128 Superwash in this beautiful forest green. And can you see it there? It's got almost a heather. I need a sweater out of, not this yarn, but it was very close to this color with that heathering in there. And this is color 867, which I'm sure is a title, but it is not on the tag. This is a bulky weight. So you get 128 yards. It is 100% superwash merino wool. And to be entered to win this, you need to answer this week's prompt in the YouTube comments. So the prompt this episode is, what's your funniest story involving a car? I don't know. I just thought it was intriguing. So tell me a funny story involving a car in the YouTube comments for this episode. And by the time I record again in 2 weeks, I will use a random comment picker to pick a winner to win this. My funny story about a car, I was trying to think, is my second car I owned, I don't even remember what it was called now. Some sort of coolant fluid, something broke, and it was leaking fluid in the passenger side floor. And I realized this when what's not funny is my friend at the time, she was wearing flip-flops and it started leaking and slightly burned her feet. But I didn't stop driving the car. I just didn't have passengers over there. And what was happening is it was part of the coolant ventilating system, and it was causing this venting fogging sensation to happen, condensation all over my windshield. And so for several weeks, until I either sold the car or got it fixed, I can't remember what I did. I was like 16, 17 at the time. I had Windex and a roll of paper towels, and every stoplight I was having to drive with the window open and wipe my window down to be able to see. And I know I was really dumb at the time, but I got invited with a group of theater friends, to go up to Northern Illinois University, which was probably about, I don't know, a 45-minute to an hour plus, maybe it's like an hour and 15 drive from my house on the expressway to go see a performance up at Northern. And I thought it was so cool being a high school kid. And I drove home in the dark, and I was trying on the expressway. Of course, there's no stoplights, so I'm trying to Windex a bunch of windshield. Oh, it was bad. But I got home. It eventually got fixed, or the car got sold or something, but yeah, that was bad. Oh, when we were young. So leave a comment on this episode's video on YouTube with your funny car story, and you can win that skein of 128 Superwash. All right, moving on. A round of applause. Last episode, the giveaway was for a skein of Yarn vs. Zombies Wallaby base in the silver lining colorway. And the prompt you had to answer was, what human trait is useful now but would be disadvantageous in the past? Random comment picker picked Deborah K. So if you are Deborah K on YouTube, congratulations. You have won this skein. If you would, please email me at leadingmenfiberarts@gmail.com and let me know you were the winner of the silver lining yarn, and give me your first and last name, mailing address, and your email address. I will get this out to you as soon as possible. Deborah K's response to the prompt was, the human trait that I find useful today is being able to be friends with a diverse group, sex, class, culture, etc. and I agree with you, that is no more prevalent than in these past few weeks. Being able to being friends and socialize with so many different people of so many different backgrounds, ethnicities, race, culture, sexual preference, sexual identity, being able to be a community without the majority anymore. Unfortunately, I feel like we have a large minority, but not the majority. I don't personally see a majority not wanting that. I feel like the majority of us want there to be a community of whomever we want to establish around ourselves. So, Deborah K., congratulations. Please, again, email me at leadingmenfiberarts@gmail.com with your information, and I will get that prize out in the mail to you. We do want to remind you to enter anything you finish in the month of June into our June 2020 Race to the Finished Object contest. We will have a physical prize as well as a pattern prize from our featured designer, who is Shayna Lines Designs, Shayna Cohen. And speaking of Shayna, we also have the Shayna Lines Designs knit-along going on while she's being featured. You can knit as many as you want of her patterns, as many as, finished objects as you want. Each finished object gets you an entry into the drawing. We will be doing a prize every month. And at the end of her featured time, we will do a grand prize drawing. So she's being featured until July 31st. Each finished object gets you an entry in the drawing. You can use the coupon code DRAMATIC, all lowercase, to get 20% off of all of her published patterns until the end of the knit-along, which is July 31st. All right, last section, center stage. Let's talk about Leading Men Fiber Arts. So, July is around the corner, which means our July 2020 colorway is going to be premiering soon, and you get to see it first because you're watching the podcast. So, we are bringing back a colorway that we did, if I can find it, it's right over here, that we did for the Craft Vent collaboration that was hosted by Christy of Yarn Cafe Creations last year. She collaborated with 25 indie dyers to make a Craft Vent calendar, which was 25 mini skeins from 25 different dyers, and it was a suicide awareness prevention fundraiser that was going to Project Semicolon. And so we dyed this color, and it was exclusive only for that until now. We decided to bring it back this month because of the meaning of when I created the colorway, because of the meaning that I was thinking of when I created it, I figured it was a really, really good time to bring this colorway to the forefront and feature it as a colorway of the month. So the colorway is called Keep Going, and it looks like this. So it is a gray and black speckled yarn with pops of this frozen ice blue. And this was taken from the Project Semicolon logo originally, the colors. But what I was thinking about as I created this color and as the color spoke to me was that a lot of times in our lives we have very dark moments, and it seems like we can be drowning under stress or society or work or depression, and so many things in life can seem dark and gloomy. Sorry, my voice is going, but I am also getting a little verklempt about this. And so while this colorway initially reads dark, we always need to find that bright light that can shine through, because that's what's going to get us through. If we let the darkness overcome us and we stop looking for that bright light, it's too easy to drown under the pressure and the weight of whatever is holding us down and holding us back. And so we need to keep going. We need to keep fighting. We need to keep seeing and recognizing that light, that positivity that comes through. That's something that I strive for and I have to work really hard for, and it's not something that comes easily to me. The way that I was growing up, and the family and the household that I was growing up in, and the family that was and was not around me growing up, it is very easy for me to become the pessimist before the optimist. And as I've grown older and as my relationship has built with Andy in my home and my family now, I'm always striving to be that optimist and to see that light and to keep going. So here's the swatch of what it looks like. And again, it looks dark and somber, but as you get closer, you can see those pops of blue shining through. And so with everything that's been going on with Black Lives Matter and COVID and Pride Month, which, you know, with the riots and everything that was going on, a lot of people don't realize Pride, ooh, it's happy and it's a parade and people can be free and liberated. Pride was originally a riot and it was a fight for equal rights. And so while people can be pissed off at what has been going on in the last couple of weeks, you know, people look at Pride now and go, oh yeah, it's this fun parade. No, it's still a riot, but it's a socially now hopefully becoming more accepted riot. And so I thought this was fitting for our current times. So you will find Keep Going on our websites starting at 10 a.m. Central Time on July 1st, and pre-orders will be up through July 8th. We will also have pre-orders up for our project bags sewn by Anne at the Silver Shed USA, and we will have pre-orders up for our sock sets. Of course, the sock set, I didn't bring it with me, is going to be the Ice Blue, Ice Baby is the colorway name, and there will be the coordinating mini that you get with it. So that's the new colorway for July. Knitting at the Estate is still a go as of right now. I'm fingers crossed that things will still be good in November. We still have 13 offsite spots available. You can purchase those spots on the main page at leadingmenfiberarts.com. There's also a wait list on the main page there. We have not had anybody cancel yet, but if we do have any on-site spots cancel, we will pull from the wait list on a first come, first served basis. We also have our sign up for the Cast of Characters mini skein yarn club on our main page as well. We just finished round 3, which is exciting. I have one more set to send out tomorrow, and round 3 will be closed and done. And we were just looking at the color lineup for round 4, which ironically we're in the bees. We have a lot of names with blue in them, so there's a lot of blue coming up in round 4. All right, our current knit-alongs going on in the Leading Men Fiber Arts group are the Shells and Stripes Infinity Scarf knit-along. That goes until July 31st, and there are coupon codes in the thread on Ravelry in the Leading Men Fiber Arts group to get you discounts on yarn in the shop for that. We also have the Little Moments knit-along going on in... these end in June. Little Moments ends in June 30th. And that's Socks by Lisa Ross. There's coupons in that thread as well. We have several pairs finished already. And our new knit-along, which I forgot to put on the show notes again this episode, is our Bead Kerchief and Bead Kerloop knit-along, designed by Laura Nelkin. And again, check out the thread in the Leading Men Fiber Arts Ravelry group for discounts not only for yarn through us, but also discounts for the patterns. All of Laura Nelkin's beaded patterns, there's discounts in there, as well as a list of the prizes. She donated 6 kits, as well as a $50 grand prize to our store. New things coming out this weekend. There's going to be a new issue of Notions magazine dropping. I believe it's an e-magazine. And our friend Lori Wagner out of California designed a shawl out of our yarn, and it is going to be premiering in Notions magazine coming this Saturday. And this is the Jelly Bean Rose scarf or shawl, and we will have sets for this available this weekend. It takes 1 skein of our show stealer, which is our merino cashmere nylon. That is the background color. She used heirloom. And then 1 6-pack gradient of our showstopper minis, which she used the Cactus Garden Lanterns set for this. So we will have, right now we have 5 ready to go. We'll see how they go if we do pre-orders, but we have 5 sets ready to go if you want to make exactly that shawl. If not, you can pick 1 gradient set and 1 skein of yarn, fingering weight. I would air either show stealer or show stopper would probably be your best bet. That coordinates, but yet allows the yarn to pop through. That'll give you enough yarn. You can purchase the pattern directly through the Notions magazine website, which I will have the link posted in our online listing, but you can check out Notions magazine this Saturday. So again, take a look at that. I think this shawl is beautiful. It is a triangle shawl. So you can see here, I think it's done with slip stitches, a little bit of lace, and then can you see down here, she brings in the colors again right at the bottom, so you're using the majority of your mini skeins. Speaking of mini skeins, we have in 2 weeks and a little bit, Monday, July 6th, Sarah Shearer, who is Imagine Landscapes, she is coming out with her Summer Gnome Mystery Knit Along. We had the privilege of collaborating with Sarah on many different occasions, but most recently we worked on her last Mystery Knit Along and offered kits for that. She reached out to us again, and not only are we offering kits, but we are the featured yarn in this Mystery Gnome Knit Along. So there's a Summer Gnome Knit Along. She's going to announce all the details on July 6th. And kits will go live in our shop on July 6th. I do not have them here to show you right now. We just put them together and took photos, but check for Instagram, Facebook, and Ravelry for all that information. We will be doing giveaways. She'll be doing giveaways, and we will have 5 different sets to choose from. I themed them. I think we have Beach House is the original she designed, and we have Summer Lovin', Summer Nights, Summer by the Lake, maybe, or Summer Sunset, and there's one more. Oh, Independence Day, so America theme one for 4th of July. So that's coming on July 6th, so stay tuned for that. Also, speaking of mini skeins, we got a bunch of new dyes in from a new to us company, and we decided we're going to knit our dye gradients of them all before we pick colors that we want to add to our semi-solid lineup. So this is a brand new gradient that was added to the shop this morning, and it is called, the colorway is called, let me get it out of the plastic a little bit, Ron Burgundy, because it is a burgundy colorway. So the Ron Burgundy color is actually going to be this color right here. This we felt was a little too close to our Eternal Kiss colorway. So this will be Ron Burgundy, the official color, but this is the Ron Burgundy gradient set. I am also planning on bringing out this color as a dusty rose, I think. So these 2 colors are going to be added to our lineup, these 2, and will be available. But if you like the gradient, or if you want to work with this gradient for your Jelly Bean Row scarf, you can pick up a set now. They are listed in the shop under gradients section. And you can find the menu for that on the left-hand side of the website. All right, no new samples to show this episode, but I have some other new items I want to show you. We got a restock in of the yarn pouches by Pete Moss Novelties. I brought a selection of them to show you. These, this newest batch is in the new larger size, just a smidge larger. There's a bunch of retro-ish fabrics with like paisley and stripes and things. This to me is a little retro, so I thought that was cool. These are all $10. Really good to house your yarn cakes in. Some cool butterflies, psychedelic flowers, chests and suitcases I thought was kind of cool. she picks all the fabrics for us, and she's been sending like one of everything, so there's lots of variety. Feathers, and then Woodland Friends I thought was cute. It's got a camper. You can see over here there's a little bear with a lantern. There's a beaver who's roasting s'mores along with his bunny rabbit friend. So really, really cute. There's a bunch of other designs, so you can check that out under the project bags listing. And then the most exciting, or the newest thing that's exciting, is we are now a retailer of Katrinkles. So I have seen Katrinkles at Indie Untangled the last 2 years. We've vended with them, and I decided to reach out to them and become a wholesale client of theirs. And so I put in my initial order with them, and we'll see how they go. I brought in a smattering of different things, and I plan on ever evolving and rotating the products that they have to offer. So who knows if what you see now will be there in the future. It might be something new. I did start off with a bunch of stitch marker sets. So they do a lot of laser cutting. That's what they're known for. And one of the things I did sign up for is their monthly Stitch Marker Set of the Month Club. So every month we currently, and we can always increase this, but we're going to get in 4 sets of their Stitch Marker of the Club month. We don't know what it's going to be, but it's all themed for that month. So we were able to get in on June, and they come with 5 of the wooden laser cut stitch markers and 1 acrylic. And so here is June, and you can see better pictures online, but there is a margarita, like a fruity cocktail drink. There are some shish kebabs, s'mores. The acrylic one is a little flame for like a campfire. And then you got a weenie on a fork. And then you got a beach chair with an umbrella. And so their stitch marker sets retail for $12. That gets you, like I said, a set of 6 stitch markers. And then I picked up a couple of other different sets that I thought were really cool, good to have on hand stitch markers. These are cast on counting stitch markers. So you get stitch markers that say 25, 50, 75, and then 3 that say 100. So that way you can put these stitch markers on as you're casting on and not have to recount all the stitches. Another really good set of stitch markers is the Instructional stitch markers. So they have stitch markers that say slip, slip, knit, yarn over, slip 1, pass stitch over, knit 2 together, make 1 right, make 1 left. So you can put these in, where you need them to remember what you're supposed to be doing at that stitch marker. And again, all of these are retailing for $12. And the last stitch marker set that I got was for sweaters. And this one has 5 that are on rings. I chose to get rings on all mine. I like rings. I use a lot of light bulb stitch markers, but for things that are going to have anything that are dangly, I want rings personally. And I do like Katrinkles because they're light enough. I do not like dangly stitch markers where they're heavy. But these ones have things like sleeve, sleeve, back, front, beginning of round, and then it's got 1 light bulb stitch marker so you can mark which is the right side. Speaking of right side and wrong side, we have a set of progress keepers. This retails for $6, so you can mark your right side, wrong side stitch markers. They're also known as the BFF. They were inspiration based off the BFF charms. So you have the right side and wrong side, so you can mark which is which. Those would go for $6. If you do decide to get stitch markers, maybe you want to join in on a Stitch Marker of the Month Club through us. I did bring these in. These retail for $8. This is a stitch marker holder. So you can clasp this like onto a D-ring inside your project bag, or you can even put it on the little zipper clasp, and you can round your stitch markers on there and they won't fall off and they'll be there, and it can be like a little knitting jewelry project bag accessory. Another thing that I thought was really cute, I got these sets of 1, 2, and 3 inch tassel makers, and this set retails for $16. It comes on a nice little ball and chain keychain here, so you can keep them together. We've got the bunny, which is a 1 inch tassel maker, the alpaca, I believe. So bad between alpaca and llama. That's 2 inches. And then we got the sheep, which is 3 inches. So it shows you here, what you do is you wind your yarn around and then you tie through the loop here. That's where you tie your tassel. And then you cut your yarn down here and you can take the whole thing off and then you've got your tassel. So I thought this was good to have on the go to make tassels. So again, I've got 2 of these and I've got 2 of these. I have 4 of everything else. And last but not least, what I got from them, I thought this was a cute take on not an enamel pin. This is a woodcut lasered knit stitch pin. They have several different ones. You can see on, not a new logo, but we went with a different business card to put, you know, product labels on. And these retail for $8. And it's got the pin back. So you can check all those out under tools and accessories on the website. Those are all available and up on the website now. So I'm really excited to start carrying Katrinkles. I really hope you guys will come out and support us there so I can try out some new products and see what you guys like and what you want to see more of. And again, check out the Stitch Marker of the Month Club. June is up there. July should be coming soon. So as for upcoming shows, all of our future shows through the month of August are currently canceled. We have just signed on for a trunk show up in Michigan, in Milan, Michigan, at Plumtree Yarn Shop for July 25th, I believe. They are doing a mini yarn crawl with Lake Erie Mercantile, and we are going to be there doing a trunk show, wearing masks and being socially distanced as much as possible, but we are excited to sign on with that. So in lieu of doing in-person shows, we are still offering free domestic shipping for orders of $10 or more, but that is going to end August 15th. As we are going to be approaching our birthday sale in late August, and then hopefully getting a little bit back on the road starting in September, the free shipping is going to end as of August 15th. Those of you on the Cast of Characters mini skein club, that is included in your club, free shipping, so that won't go away. But orders that you place in the online shop, in orders and custom orders, shipping will start to be applied starting August 16th. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us regarding Leading Men Fiber Arts to leadingmenfiberarts@gmail.com. That is the best way to get an answer from us. Instagram messages, Facebook messages, things like that will get answered when they get noticed, but I can't guarantee how quickly that will happen. As always, we'd love if you would follow us on Instagram, Leading Men Fiber Arts, as well as our Facebook group, and to join our Ravelry group, Leading Men Fiber Arts. For the podcast, we'd love if you join our Ravelry group as well, and to give us the thumbs up and the subscribe on YouTube, as well as to enter our episode contests every week and leave a comment. And as always, you can find the podcast on YouTube, on our blog, which is where the show notes are, dramaticknits.com, and embedded in our Ravelry group. And until I see you again in 2 weeks, I hope you knit something or make something dramatic.